Trump's mouthpieces have reached the final stage of their evolution. Ignore the laws and go scorched earth on their opponents. This is just another day. With the government shutdown still shut down, one would think Washington has ground to a halt, but on the contrary, it is business as usual.
Are you concerned about the delays at airports, and how do you see the shutdown?
Oh, sure. I mean, they're all Democrat delays. There are delays at the airport. That's standard.
That is standard. I think we've all been sitting at our gate, munching on a very reasonably priced $28 tuna sandwich, only to look up and discover those damn Democrats delayed our flights again. And there's nothing you can do. I mean, at least when Republicans delay your flights, every airline employee offers you a bag of cash and a deep tissue massage, but Democrats just don't care about getting regular folk like the GOP do. But while using any question as an opportunity to lash out at your opponents is an old Trump family tradition, one almost as old as their game of what exactly did happen to Don Jr.'s boobs, it seems like this tradition has been passed down to every single one of Donald Trump's loyal disciples.
The word is, and I think it's been confirmed by the White House, they are going to transfer Texas National Guard units to the state of Illinois. What's the rationale for that?
Yeah, Chairman, as you shut down the government, you voted to shut down the government, and you're sitting here, our law enforcement officers aren't being paid. They're out there working to protect you. I wish you loved Chicago as much as you hate President Trump. And currently, the National Guard are on the way to Chicago. If you're not going to protect your citizens, President Trump will.
For posterity, that was the response to the very reasonable question, why are Texas National Guard troops being flown to Chicago, and not, will you chastise me like I'm a child who drew on the walls? Pam Bondi was up on Capitol Hill today to testify before the Senate Oversight Committee over a myriad of subjects like the Justice Department's careless attitude toward border czar Tom Homan's acceptance of a $50,000 bribe, what some see as the president weaponizing our Justice Department to target his enemies because some presidents tweeted that's exactly what they were doing, and over her less than stellar handling of the Epstein files.
There's been public reporting that Jeffrey Epstein showed people photos of President Trump with half-naked young women. Do you know if the FBI found those photographs?
You know, Senator Whitehouse, you sit here and make salacious remarks, once again trying to slander President Trump left and right, when you're the one who was taking money from one of Epstein's closest confidants, I believe. I could be wrong, correct me, Reid Hoffman.
So, should I mark you down as a no then? I gotta say, it's not exactly the tightest defense when you open with, so what if my boss is in photos with topless underage women? Let's talk about you. But again, we are obviously in a new era of politics. Whether it's temporary or permanent remains to be seen, but as of now, the days of spirited debate between members of opposing parties seems to have been replaced with this.
All you care about is a child sex predator that was prosecuted by a prior administration, and the Obama Justice Department and the Biden Justice Department did squat.
Whew. Not to psychoanalyze someone simply from a piece of videotape, but when you're the guy who said this...
Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list.
I think you might be yelling at yourself. And it isn't just Pam Bondi and Kash Patel who took Trump's how to yell and point fingers at your opponents course. RFK got his certificate too.
Senator, you've sat in that chair for how long? 20, 25 years, while the chronic disease in our children went up to 76%. And you said nothing.
Damn, he seems so heated, I gotta wonder if he cooled off afterwards in a chemically unsafe body of water. The reality is, with all that we're witnessing from the Trump administration, their cabinet officials, and the Republican Party as a whole, there is a glaring question that needs to be answered, which is this version of America that we are currently in temporary or permanent? And I don't mean are Taylor and Travis going to be permanently engaged forever so that we stay consistently strung along on their relationship. I mean, is this type of response from our Attorney General permanent?
Do you believe that government officials like Gregor Bovino are obligated to follow applicable court orders, whether they agree with them or not? Yes or no?
First, Senator Padilla, you have gone on for over 5 minutes, and I wish that you loved your state of California as much as you hate President Trump.
Look, I think a lot of people wish that they love things as much as they hate Trump. Just ask my girlfriend. But is that type of answer merely temporary or permanent? Do we now permanently live in a society where the border czar can take a $50,000 bribe from undercover agents and is treated by his bosses like he got busted for loitering? Or is that temporary? Is it now the established norm that all of our FBI directors will be completely unqualified podcasters who lash out when they're asked about why they're not releasing information on a certain billionaire pedophile?
You are the biggest fraud to ever sit in the United States Senate. You are a disgrace to this institution and an utter coward.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised that you continue to lie from your perch and put on a show so you can go raise money for your charade. You are a political buffoon at best.
Yep, don't see anything unhealthy about that response at all. I mean, if we could bottle that energy up and serve it to our kids, even RFK would be on board. And is it temporary or permanent that our Secretary of Defense gathers up our top admirals and generals at Quantico to shame them and their subordinates for their waist size?
It's tiring to look out at combat formations, or really any formation, and see fat troops.
Yes, I believe we all know the Hegseth Creed by heart at this point. Being light helps us fight, being thin helps us win, and being accused of sexual assault is totally not our fault. Look, the good thing about the answer to, is all of this temporary or permanent, is that the answer is not predetermined. Remember, we have agency in our democracy and are allowed to choose if we want to endure this intentionally exhausting clown car in perpetuity or band together to give it an end date. It is not an accident that Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Pete Hegseth, and everybody else in Trump's orbit have adopted his tantrum-esque style of dealing with people. Being that rude and combative is a tactic used so that Americans check out, so that we get tired and frustrated and simply look away from the daily miscarriages of justice and instead focus on other wildly important stories like Nicole Kidman's breakup bangs. But our responsibility is to not give them what they want. Sorry, Nicole. It is to keep showcasing their lunacy. It is to constantly show Americans that a president who ignores judges and turns the United States military on American citizens doesn't have to be permanent. That having an attorney general who gets her marching orders from the president's late-night tweets doesn't have to be permanent. That having a secretary of defense who treats our men and women of the military like they're teenagers in his own personal edition of Scared Straight doesn't have to be permanent. You are not alone in thinking that we deserve nice things, i.e. a civil democracy, but that won't come to fruition if we get complacent or apathetic. It is going to take an enormous effort to constantly expose the type of government and society we don't want, and instead focus on the kind we do. And while that is hard, when this is the alternative...
If you're not going to protect your citizens, President Trump will.
It makes it a little easier. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.